she's turned her cam. There she is. Hey, Georgia.
I assume she's talking. We just can't hear her.
Yeah, it looks like her audio is not working, but okay. Hi, Georgia. Okay, we can see you, and if you can hear us, we just can't hear you. Can you hear?
Your audio is not working. Okay.
Okay. So this will be. She's logged back out now. So she's logging back in. She's logging back in. Here we go again. And
I'm still trying to figure out how Griselle looks exactly the same.
I know, Griselle, you're
Guys.
It's been like 35 years, and still looks the
15
same.
years. 15 years. How do you look the same?
Not at
Because
all.
nobody ages really between 20 and 30.
Oh, okay.
awesome. Yeah, you do. I was gonna say, hey, there she is, and I think we got audio too. Do we have audio, Georgia?
We have everything.
Oh my gosh. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. We have quite a crew here. We're gonna kind of just maybe half an hour, if everyone can do that. Doesn't have to be much longer. And I'm gonna just do like a brief intro, and then we're just can all reunite. So I'm Eric Raddatz, the director of the Fort Myers Film Festival. Happening here, our 11th year, May 12th through 16th in Fort Myers, Florida. We are playing some flashback films, and we're honoring Florida filmmakers and finding out where they are now. With this particular movie, I'm very excited to screen, and it is, and we have the whole cast and crew here of Stay. I want to say Still Green. I almost said Stay Green, but it's Still Green, but you can always still stay green. And we have this Jon Artigo, Georgia Menides, and we have Doug Laws, and we have Bill Schulte, Griselle, and Andrea. So welcome everybody to the reunion of the cast of Still Green. Thank you guys for coming out here to do a little Zoom reuniting and to get us excited and others in town excited about seeing this film. I know I was fond of this film back when I first saw it when it came out. It came out in 2007. I don't know that I saw it until 2008 or 9. I don't remember, but I remember it was a good blur because it was such a fun crew that we saw it somewhere in Bonita Springs, and I got a chance to meet you all. And I think maybe we could, if it's okay, to start with Georgia. Georgia's the writer. Jon directed, and maybe start with Georgia to kind of introduce the conception of the writing of this film, and then you can kind of send the baton whatever direction you want, possibly.
Okay, sure. So I wrote this story actually like as a book when I was 18, and then I decided to write it as a film when I was 28. And it was set in Massachusetts because all the movies we make are in Massachusetts. But then Jon wrote a film and directed a film that Andrea produced and starred in, and Doug and I worked on the art department, called Freedom Park. And it was programmed in what was then World Cinema Naples and the Marco Island Film Festival. So me, Andrea, Jon, Doug, a few other people, we all went down to Naples. And as soon as we saw it, we were like, we're not making my movie in Maine, we're making it in Florida. Because we couldn't believe the colors and the contrast and the brilliance, and also the community and the support. And we met Bill, and we were hooked. And we just thought, you know what, we want this dark story to be told in this lush environment. Now, granted, we had only made movies in Massachusetts. We had no idea about red tide and alligators and sea turtles and sand fleas or anything. But as soon as we saw it, I remember driving around with Doug the last day of the World Cinema Naples saying, we're going to make Still Green down here. So I rewrote it to make it for Florida. And then we went to raise the money. And we raised enough to get down there and start. And then as we shot, we actually continued to raise more and finished the film. And we made it in 5 weeks in Central Florida. We did 1 week of pickups in South Carolina. And then it did really well in festivals. So we decided to go, we sold it to a company who gave us some marketing money, and we decided to use it all on going theatrical, which we did.
Well, that's amazing. And I'm not sure of the breadth and scope of it. I know that there's a lot of people in Florida in 2021 who are excited to see it. Maybe over to Jon. Jon, how did you get involved, and what was it like? How were you pitched this project, and how did you get involved?
Well, if I remember correctly, I believe it was at that festival when Georgia kind of started talking to me about the opportunity, about the script. And it was, for me, it was interesting because I had only directed stuff that I had written, and I hadn't directed something that somebody else had written. So it was a very cool process to go through, meet with a writer, talk to a writer about what their intentions were and things like that, and work through how to take that script and turn it into a movie. Because as you said, Georgia explained that it was a book initially, and then it was going to be turned into a movie. So there were some changes that needed to be made from a visual perspective. And so we talked through those things, and we had so many conversations about how to do that. And I was attracted to it being like teenagers who are going through like a big transition in their life. I am someone who does a lot of mentoring of people in that age range anyway. And so that really spoke to me in the script as well. The fact that they were teenagers going through this big transition, and then just working with people who I enjoy working with, making films, sharing, our art with the world and everything is definitely something that, we all like to do.
Oh, I will mention quickly, Jon, and at the time in LA was running a huge class for teenagers, and he taught at the Los Angeles Academy of some. Basically, Jon had been teaching teenagers since I knew him, and very well, and he was very well esteemed. So that was the biggest reason I wanted Jon more than anybody else to direct the project.
Right. Yeah. For about 10 years, I taught at the Los Angeles County High School for the Arts. It's actually been a while. I actually forgot. I'm like, wait, are you trying to talk about where I'm working now? And then I was like, no, then I got it. Yes, for 10 years I worked there. And yeah, I worked with teenagers who were all artists, and they were very much the same mentality of some of the students in the actors in this film.
Well, that's a direction I wanted to go, is to what are you doing now? Before we get there, you mentioned that you ran into Bill and you were hooked, and that Bill's been always kind of this mystery. In full disclosure, Bill and I have maintained this friendship off and on, seeing each other, and recently he's screened at a Fort Myers Film Festival's Independent Mondays, where we take a look at films in consideration. And I'm just constant amazement of all that he's kind of doing and accomplishing. But can we get into how we managed to bring Bill on board? And Bill did he just leave the room? Was it too much for him? Okay, we lost Bill. It was too much. Let's move to Doug, because I know Doug, you came into this as well in a very similar way. Can you tell us how you got involved?
Yeah, absolutely. So Georgia and I, as Georgia mentioned, Georgia and I had already worked with Jon and Andrea on previous movies. At the time we were dating, and we wanted to work on a project together. So I was working with Georgia from the very beginning about, okay, you've got all these different screenplays. We know we want to make a movie of our own. Which screenplay is going to be probably the easiest in terms of value, and just focused on the story rather than something that's going to be wild and extravagant in terms of budget. And she brought up, I think it was, what was it called at the time? Stay Gold Pony Boy, which always was a confusing name. So I'm glad we changed it. But loved the story. Right from the beginning, we knew we wanted to work with Jon and Andrea. Loved their projects that they had done previously. Loved working with them on Freedom Park. So right away, we were just like, okay, let's figure this out. Let's get a business together. Let's get the groundworks of the project together. Let's bring Jon and Andrea on board, and let's get this thing up and running.
Cool. And it looks like Bill has joined us. Bill, were you getting nervous when I started the introduction into you?
This is kind of funny. I was sitting on the back patio and my phone got too hot. The temperature was too hot. And so my phone shut off for being too hot. So I had to go stick it in the freezer to cool it down and get back on here real quick. So
It is warm. Yeah. Well, we can see you better now too. So that works out. I mean, Georgia said we bumped into Bill and it was a no-brainer. We're working with this guy. Tell us how you were introduced to this movie.
It goes back to Marco Island Film Festival and their first film, which was Freedom Park. I was doing programming and running the young filmmakers program there with Marco Island, and they came down with that film, and they just did an amazing job interacting with the kids. We were out in schools. And we had some film classes and things like that we were running during the festival, and they were just great energy. I think they won an award that year for that interaction in their film, and so it was conversations about, why don't you bring the film here to Florida and let's do this here. And next thing you know, I got divorced and I was on a film set. It was the best divorce ever.
Oh my God. I did not know this. Okay. All right. Well, that's so there, and that maybe explains a little of the partying, because you're getting past the divorce. Probably, if I remember, there was some partying a little bit. Anyway, Andrea.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know either.
I don't remember anything.
I swear to nothing.
It was. You see in the movie a lot of the fun that was kind of on set, and you kind of saw it behind the scenes. It seems like one of those productions where there was a value in enjoyment. Andrea, we haven't really gotten into your involvement. Can you tell us why did you start getting involved with Still Green?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they all kind of summarized that we were all friends. John, Doug, Georgia, and I were good friends. We made Freedom Park together, and I love Georgia's writing. And Georgia and Doug said we want to kind of go do this in Florida, which sounded fun. And I mean, it's crazy to think it was 15, 16 years ago, because we were all just, I guess, in our late 20s, early 30s, or Doug was younger, at mid 20s, I don't know. But, we were just kind of a group of friends making films for the passion of making films, which is always amazing. And I also loved the idea of Georgia and Doug wanted to audition, and John audition actors from all around Florida, which I thought was a really cool angle. So we did bring some actors, 4 actors out of the 10 ensemble from LA, and then we cast 6 of the main actors from Florida, including Griselle, who is from Naples, right? Yeah. So she was our local sort of actress. And to me, that was really amazing to see them all interact, and, everybody was just equally as talented. So that was pretty awesome. But that was how I got involved. I knew all these guys and said, let's go make a movie in Florida. I didn't know that the room that I was going to sleep in would also be a set, but that's the fun.
Oh, okay. Where was that set? Where was that beach that we saw? I'm trying to think of where the main beach.
The main house was in Bonita Beach.
Bonita Beach.
And we shot at that house, but also like half of us slept at that house.
I gotcha. Okay. Sounds like
just north of Docks.
Oh, okay.
It was a good way to save costs of combining the set with the actual housing.
Absolutely.
Definitely figuring out how to scrape it all together.
Very smart. Well, and that's
But
maybe
you gotta know, I mean, back in those days, like, you couldn't do the same things that you can do for cheap. So you really needed a certain amount of money. But because the other reason we like Naples is because people helped us. Like Bill would march in every meal with like all this cafeteria stuff and plating and shit for us. And like all these neighbors offered to house some of our cast because we couldn't afford to house them. And Starbucks donated a $500 gift card so we could get our PA's things. Our almost our whole cast, except for the Hollywood cast, worked for free. Even Andrea, who's like now this big time Sony producer, like she worked for the pay of her rent and bills for a month. I mean, what everyone gave, like you can do it now because things are cheap, but like you couldn't make a $500,000 movie then for what we did without it being a psycho sacrifice. So like, it'll always just make me so happy that we figured out how to do it.
Psycho sacrifice. That's an interesting description.
Well, it's those kind of stories. When we get into, we start to maybe enter Griselle here. When you started casting, what was it? What was that like when you went from? I mean, how'd you hear about it? How was the casting like? Tell us how you got involved.
I heard about it on this free Orlando site, and I was living in Orlando at the time. I went to UCF, and I was like, something's happening in Naples. Like, that doesn't sound right. But I had like butterflies and everything. I was like, I have to be a part of this. I don't know how, but I have to. And I like wrote this letter, and I got an audition. And oh my gosh, it was my first audition ever. I turned my back to the camera. It was amazing. But by the grace of God, I got on and I met these fabulous people and got to shoot in my hometown. And
literally, it's worth mentioning, like for actor stories, like we didn't cast Griselle in our first round because there wasn't a role for her, but we liked her. And every couple weeks, she kept sending us like updates with a picture of her, and this is what I've been doing. And one of the cast met like for the first round, but then one of the cast members actually, like, her mother died and she had to drop out. And we were like, oh God, we need to recast this role right now. And whose picture should be on our fridge but the lovely, beautiful Griselle? And so we were like, why don't we just call this chick? She's persistent, she's talented. So it pays to show for an actress, like, following up. Like, I mean, we didn't call anybody else.
Yeah.
There were so many moments in this movie, and obviously the music played a large part in it too. Now I do kind of want to get around, and I know everyone's modest, so there's not going to be a lot of bragging as to what you're all doing now. But as was mentioned, you guys have gone on to do other and bigger and better, and maybe not better. This is an amazing thing, but they've gone on to other things. And one of the cast members, I think, was Vonzell Solomon. I caught, which back when I first saw it, I didn't know who Vonzell Solomon was. As you look at those who have jumped from this film into other things, what comes to mind for you? Like, how did this movie maybe shape the direction that you've gone and are in now? Is maybe what I'd like to hear any comment on.
Well, I mean, Noah Segan, one of the actors, was battling it out with Bruce Willis in that Joseph Gordon-Levitt movie where he like turns around. Noah Segan has gone on to be in, I mean, a ton of movies. Sarah Jones is actually right now in this amazing, she played the lead Amazon movie called For All Mankind. And it prepositions that Russia and America never stopped the space war. And she plays an astronaut, and it's on Amazon, and it's so, so good. Doug Spain, one of the actors, ended up going the producing route, but he's producing full time. Nikki, she is still modeling, not only in London, but I mean in Miami, but she's gone on to become a quite prestigious London model. A lot of the bands have broken. And then I'm not going to speak for Tom, who was one of our, who was our only lighting guy, now does lighting for that show, The Goldbergs. He's their head lighting technician. And Brian Crane continues to do lighting on all kinds of shows. But then I'll let Andrea and John and me and Doug each talk about what we're doing.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. Yeah, I was surprised. I didn't make the connection because I figured I'd hear it here better than anywhere else. But that's quite saying a lot. John, Andrea, Doug?
Well, for me, I think really it's two big things. One is I just had a film, the last feature film that I wrote and directed called Sorry I Killed You, just released in January of 2021. It's on Amazon and Apple TV and things like that. But I'm also the program director for the digital filmmaking program at the LA Film School.
Oh, wow.
And I do that, and I do it from Florida right now. It's an online program. We have about 800 students in the bachelor's degree program, and it's a lot of fun.
Very nice. Andrea, so I heard something about Sony Classic Pictures or something?
Well, after we did Still Green, John and I made a movie together that has had 3 titles, but it's now called Great Dance Academy. I produced it. John wrote and directed it, and Indican Pictures released it. It's a labor of love, a wacky comedy, so you can find that one online. And then for a while, I was producing television movies. I made a number of Lifetime movies and Christmas movies. One is called The Spirit of Christmas that did very well on Netflix and Hulu most recently. And then, yeah, maybe about 5 years ago, I started working with Sony's division Screen Gems. So I've made 4 movies with them. Recently executive produced and was unit production manager on a movie called The Unholy. And that comes out in theaters April 2nd, being released by Sony. And I executive produced and was the unit production manager on a movie called I Care a Lot, which recently came out on Netflix, and our actress Rosamund Pike won the Golden Globe for Best Actress in a Comedy for it. So yeah, so I got into the DGA a few years ago and have been doing more of the like UPM line producer work, as opposed to going and raising the money for movies, which and lining that up. But I still have that bug, and I'm still reading scripts, and hopefully we'll do both.
Very impressive.
What about The Honest Thief?
Oh yeah, Honest Thief is another movie I did. It stars Liam Neeson, and that's available on Amazon.
Oh wow, okay, so you were involved with that as well.
Yeah.
Just to think, back when did you have any idea back when you were doing Still Green that this would all unfold?
No, I started doing it because I was an actress. So when I met John, we made a few movies together that I was in. Actually, I'm in Still Green for like a second. I'm in the scene with Vonzell, right?
Oh, okay. The record store.
But that's why I started doing it. And then I realized after a while that I liked kind of let's bring all these artists together, and it's really fun to give jobs. And I mean, John and I were always like mentoring people. So it's fun to, help actors and crew members and musicians get featured in these movies.
Do you miss Florida at all? I'm just curious.
Me? Yeah, I love Florida. I'd love to make another movie in Florida.
Let's do it. Let's bring on Doug. Doug, tell us about your venture from Still Green to hopefully Andrea's including you in some of her productions.
Yeah, so I actually changed career paths entirely since Still Green. So one of the things I liked about movies was being the business-minded person surrounded by creative folks. So actually a while ago now, feels like a lifetime ago, I actually moved into the tech space. So now I'm working for a large tech company selling ERP software. So it's pretty exciting stuff, but it's very much a shift from that business-minded, surrounded by tech, surrounded by creative folks in film, to now minded, surrounded by creative folks in technology. So yeah, it's been pretty exciting. That's actually one of the reasons why I'm in Austin, because so my wife now, she actually still is, she's a very creative, film-minded person. She runs a film festival in Austin and everything. So that's one of the things I liked about Austin, was that it kind of has that balance of both worlds. But yeah, so that's where I'm at now. Very
cool. And do you ever get with Bill? Because Bill, you're doing some.
Bill was actually out in Austin. We saw each other. Was that like about a year ago?
Yes, a few years
definitely
ago.
That was a good time.
Well, tell us what happened.
Oh.
Well,
No, don't tell us. Don't tell us. Maybe I don't know. Tell
it was
us.
epic.
Okay.
We did get kicked out of a bar. I'm not, which is a common thing, I guess. So
okay.
But it wasn't either one of our faults, which is really interesting. We just happened to be part of the mayhem. So
it seems, I feel like maybe Grisel's gonna top it all with her story from the set of Still Green to 2021. As you logged in, I don't know if everyone got a chance to hear. Like, you have not aged at all. How is this possible? What have you been doing?
Have. Since Still Green, I started getting more involved in different aspects. I started taking acting classes. I started jumping in like production assistant work, casting work. And now I live in Los Angeles, although I have been in Naples most of the last year.
Oh, you gonna come out to see
yeah.
the film? You're gonna come to see the film March? I'm sorry, it's May 15th at 8:30.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'll be in Naples that week, but maybe I can make it work. We'll see.
It's not too far. We're not too far.
Yeah.
I did check out the some of these. You actually have done some shooting of other stuff, Cassie.
Yeah.
So but you're
Short
getting work.
films and little
Yeah.
things.
Very cool. You know,
Yeah,
as,
Christelle, she was on a what show? She won a game show. A famous
you want a game show?
I
What?
just won a game show. It aired in January. Yes.
What game show? What, can you tell us?
The Price is Right.
Oh, you're on The Price is Right.
Which is a dream come true. Okay, I've wanted to be on this show since I was like a child.
How did you get on that show? What happened? How did that go?
I auditioned and they liked us. They liked me. And the funny thing is, my nephew, we did his first birthday, Price is Right themed. So I had a picture with me with this like fake wheel, and I actually spun $1 twice.
That's a good.
Uh-huh.
What does that mean on The Price is Right? I don't watch it enough to know. Is that a good thing?
It's the best you can do.
Oh, okay.
So I mean,
you won a lot of money.
I won money. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
Yes.
And did some fame come with that? I mean, were agents now like?
Not yet, but this is the call. It's gonna do it, right?
Congratulations! I'll have to look that one up. As I look at this film, there's something about kind of like this coming of age theme where I think it can really still resonate with a crowd, although we're seeing it as a flashback film, and this is a totally different time. And would anyone like to comment on how you feel this will be seen in 2021? Is there anything that folks living in 2021, maybe kids living in 2021, will look back and say, you know what, this still kind of stands the test of time, or maybe I don't understand it? I mean, how do you feel about how it might play out in 2021?
I have something to say about it. Don't mind. Once she's done.
No, go ahead.
Only because, so I've shown it to, so like the thing about Still Green was like, it was a little behind its time and it was a little ahead of its time because back in the day, like for example, you couldn't show a breast on TV. Now you can show everything on TV. So when it came to like the main channels, the breasts were why we couldn't get on Netflix, which is funny now to think about. And the fact that the teenagers in our shows were drinking and smoking pot in the film, what happened behind the scenes is, not something that I need to disclose, but the characters were doing these things that now, I mean, in movies, teens are like shooting crack and killing people, this was very minor. These are just friends enjoying each other. So, but those caveats like really, turned mainstream people off that would have watched it, like teenagers that weren't allowed to watch it. So watching it with kids today, I felt like they liked that was just in there, but it wasn't like an issue. And I think that'll help it like get across through like the networks. I think people's feelings about spirituality and like what happens after a death and like how people respond to a death have really changed. There were certain mores and codes back then that aren't there now. So I think more people might accept the ending with a little less controversy. And then finally, I just think that like now a lot of TV shows like Gossip Girl or like a lot of TV shows, everyone's just fighting. And the part of the movie that people used to find slow, the people that I've shown it to now, it's their favorite part because they're just hanging out, laughing, goofing around, having fun, and you don't really see that as much. So for me, it's funny because the people I've shown it to recently like it better than the people I showed it to 10 years ago. But that's just me. That's been my experience.
Yeah, it's something that I observed too, is that they're actually interacting socially and not on their phones. You know, like there might have been a couple of phone experience. I don't really remember, but it just seems like seeing it's kind of like the reason why people still watch Friends. I think today it's like they'll watch it like these are people interacting and talking and having real conversation and relationships. So I think there's something cool about some of these flashbacks, and there was a little more of that back then. But we shall see. I do hope as many of you can be socially distant and safe, but if you can come out, the Fort Myers Film Festival, again, we're playing Still Green, flashback, Florida filmmakers and cast and crew here. And that'll be May 15th at 8:30 p.m. We hope you can join us. We thank you so much, Andrea, Doug, Georgia, Bill, and Griselle, and John, who snuck out.
John his wife just texted me. He apologizes. His phone just died, but he said thank you for having him, and he was excited to see everyone.
Thank you all. We appreciate it, and if you want, we'll be happy to talk after the fact, or whoever shows up, we'll be doing a little live thing with whoever can be there. But thank you so much, you guys. Thanks for waiting. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Bye.
See you, everybody. Good seeing you.
Good seeing everybody. Thank you. Okay.